to start, Michael, by thanking you for taking the time to chat with us here at the Christian Beat, all about Newsboys' latest project.
Yes, I'm stoked about it. Worldwide Revival, as you know, came out last Friday. What was it, the 19th, the
Yeah.
18th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
19.
I should know, right? Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. It's chock full of everything that God's poured into my heart over the years and over in between albums. Duncan Phillips, our drummer, always says, um, "You're only as good as your last project." In other words, it's like reapplying for your job every time. You never know who's going to buy the new record, who's going to get into the new songs, who's going to relate to them. So we just pray that God uses our, our earnest efforts and our due diligence when it comes to writing songs to touch people's hearts, man, because we love it. We've done it for years, decades. So
Mm-hmm.
we love it.
Absolutely. And you've already let the group and the listeners know that this is only part one, so there's more to come too. So, do you want to just talk a little bit, I guess, why you wanted to have that continuation already out there and known?
Say again.
Do you want to just talk a little bit about why this is part one and why you're making sure people know it is a part one and that there's more to the story?
Yeah, because well, the record's in two parts. We had a lot of songs. We didn't want to. I think it was more of a strategic move on my part in the sense of like, if you give a kid or person six gifts for Christmas time,
Hmm.
end of the day, one's in the garage, one's in the bedroom, one's in the kitchen, one's in the basement. If you give them two or three, they're cherished more. It's the less is more thing, you know? So to give them 20 songs at one time or 18 songs is just too much stuff. So
Hmm.
um, eight at a time. It's in two parts because of the message in the songs, the message in the music, the way the music comes off. Some of it's more worship style, some of it's more rock pop newsboy style.
Hmm.
So it's just it's the same, but it's different.
Absolutely. And do you want to also talk a little bit on the title, Worldwide Revival, and just what that means for the group and what that means for you personally?
As a kid growing up in DC, Jesse, I don't know if you know this, but I grew up in a family of nine kids. I'm the baby of nine, five girls, four boys. And my dad was a preacher man, an evangelist, much like Billy Graham, without the fame, but God knows the heart. And he drove a cab for a living. He drove his cab. And I often say, if you got in my dad's cab, there was a good chance you were going to be saved. My dad loved people. He loved the gospel. He was saved out of a crazy lifestyle. So he was radically changed, as they say back in the 70s, in the 60s. And so as a kid, I watched my dad go door to door, knock on people's doors, tell them about God, tell them about Jesus, old school fashioned way, old fashioned way. We give a gospel track out to someone and go, hey, Jesus? Here's how you can be saved. Or you give them a card about how to come to church or blah, blah, blah. And I watched that. I watched my dad preach tent revivals as a kid in the 70s. That's something you don't see much anymore. Um, and then a friend of mine said to me the other day about revival. He said, Tate, he said, what would Jesus Christ's ministry look like if he never talked to strangers? And I thought, that'd be a problem. That'd be a problem. So my dad took it upon himself and took Matthew 28 literally and went to all the streets of DC and surrounding areas and other states and spread the gospel because he wanted to see revival. But and we say worldwide revival in the sense that we want to see the whole world affected by what God does to his people, whether it be us, the next band, the next preacher, the next missionary. We just want to see change. We want to see revival. We're living in crazy times. Every day, something catastrophic happens in our country, something crazy. And it's like, you have to believe, well, we should, as believers, we have this faith in our God that's not dead. We believe it, we live it. And revival is going to start eventually, Jesse. What I'm trying to say, revival will start in the hearts of believers, in our hearts, in our homes,
Hmm.
around our neighborhoods, and then it'll spread out. That's what we pray for. So these songs are just a reminder and a spark to know the revival can break out any and everywhere, and that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And I know the full project has only been out a few days for you so far, but what kind of um, messages are you seeing back? Are you seeing some of those stories and people start to be impacted already?
People are responding. It's crazy. It's fun when you, as an artist on one side, and you can't get too excited about yourself and what you do. But of course, from my DC Talk days, and
Mhm.
Toby Mac and I are still besties, and we're competitive in ways at times. Whose songs hitting radio? What are people saying about your music? But all that out of the way, and it's fun stuff, all that out of the way. But people are really responding, Jesse, because this is a hot button message for believers, to that's what we're here for. We're not here just to look pretty and take up space on God's planet. We're here to evangelize, to tell people about a living king that can change their life from this crazy dark existence, this present darkness, and to the glory light of heaven to come, bringing heaven down to earth, just a little piece of it until we get to the other side. So
Mhm.
people are responding with glee, with joy, with affirmation that we're on the right path, because once again, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And I'm curious for you personally. I don't want to ask you your favorite track necessarily, because I'm sure that can change, but which one, today are you finding yourself going back to and time again?
Ooh, well, for lots of reasons, of course. Once again, being a musician, I like the musicality of certain tracks better than others and what
Mhm.
it does. But just the message of revival is in the songs so far that we've released. But I'm a fan of worldwide revival. I love what it says. I love the groove. I love the way it makes me feel, and I love how God gave uh, me and the boys words in those moments to write those lyrics, because they're pretty powerful, It's put to a nice little catchy, almost 80s throwback melodic kind of feel and sound, and that was purposed by me. But the message is powerful, and that's what excites me about that song.
Absolutely.
You can
And this
groove, you can groove and hear the message at the same time.
Absolutely. How did this project stand out for the band and the group? I mean, it's obviously not your first, but you've mentioned already not only being as good as your last one. So kind of how does this one stand out for the group?
Well, I think it's more pointed. It's more it's the records of storytelling kind of thing. I mean, the songs all kind of hinge in a relay, like a relay for each
Mhm.
other, and it's more congruent message. And it's the first project we've done together with Adam Agee, who's our newest member in the band, who came from Audio Adrenaline and of course Stella Card. He's been a big part of our writing team. Came in swinging, so that's always a good thing. So there's lots of new ingredients and different approaches, I think, on the songwriting process and the musicality of the record overall.
Absolutely. And you have mentioned the musicality a few times, and how that works for you as well as the group. Do you want to talk? How do you go about pairing sometimes the message with the musicality and either bringing it together, kind of causing differences? Like, how does that work for you when you hear it?
Music is strange because, when you write a song, you want them. I always say to my friends and to young writers, this is my opinion. The melody, the music is very important to me. Of course, the message in our industry, the message is in the lyric. That's for sure. The music is the vehicle. But I look at it from a pop standpoint, a mainstream standpoint, because I always think to myself, I'm a pop head. I love pop music. I love writing pop songs. I've done it since DC Talk days. I do it now. I've done it for Newsboys for 13 years.
Uh-huh.
So I think the melodies, you go on singing, it's like that usually comes to me first before I write any lyrics. And then I think to myself, what can I put with that will speak what the music is saying? You follow me? It's kind of tricky sometimes because you can't be singing, a heavy, dark, even sometimes, intense lyric to like the happiest music. It feels almost too juxtapositioned. It feels kind of weird. It's a happy medium. And I had this track for instance, for Worldwide Revival years and years ago on my tape for the Tait records I was doing back with Capitol Records, but I
Mhm.
never used the song. So I pulled it back out, and Adam and the guys were like, "Let's finish this song, Tait." So we did. We called it Worldwide Revival. But once again, it felt like all around the world we want to see the melodies. It feels like kind of takes you in that headspace. And that's what
Mhm.
music does for me. That's what lyrics do, music does for me. And then it feeds the lyric to me at that point because I get so excited about what the music's saying. It almost speaks the lyric to you subliminally. Or
That's
is it God conscious? Hello.
That's awesome. And I also want to ask you about the tour that the group is out on, because I know that you're pairing that, you're starting, you'll be out all of August. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
The tour? Well, first of all, Newsboys always tours, Jesse. So nothing
Fair.
new. It's like we give them different titles just to keep us sane, you know. But we tour all the time, and we're out now on Worldwide Revival Nights throughout the summer. That's what we're calling it, Worldwide Revival Nights. And the shows have been sold out, been fantastic. People come out with their friends and
Mhm.
their loved ones, their unsafe friends. That's the whole purpose, you know. Newsboys has been around for a while, so we have a massive demographic. We get the 8-year-olds to the 80-year-olds. True story, and
Mhm.
it's been fantastic. And I love every bit of it because I love people.
Absolutely. And how do you go about, you mentioned always being on tour, calling it different, different sections of the group. How did you go about putting the vision together for these specific worldwide revival nights for this summer?
Well, the music and the way the record was coming along and going, we kind of felt like this was something special, more than just summer dates. We know Newsboys on tour for the summer. We wanted to give it a name, give it a deeper purpose and a pointed direction of we're going out and we're going to be specifically talking about revival, singing songs about revival, and getting people excited about revival, which starts in their home with their kids, their neighbors, where they are. As my dad would say, you can't go across the seas until you go across the street. So there's our message in there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm sure you also have some other fan favorites also woven in there for sure.
Oh, the show, yeah. People always say, "What's a Newsboys show like?" And I often say it's like an MTV Video Music Award show mixed with a VH1 award show at a Black Fiery Baptist church on Sunday morning. It's just a big conglomerate of just energy, power, great multimedia, great light show, but the message is still the same. People need Jesus, and we share it without without fail.
Absolutely. And I know we're coming close to time and you've mentioned it a few times before today already, but just wanted to give you one final opportunity just to share your prayer and the heart that you hope this music brings to those who get to listen to it.
Yeah, I've said from back in the day, sometimes the only way to a person's heart is through their headphones. You call them AirPods these days, whatever. We know music is powerful. So we put pen to paper, Jesse. We pray that God will use every melody, every cool part, even corny parts, every lyric to touch their hearts and change who they are inside. We can only lead them to the water, to the cross, but Christ has to, bring the drink, so to speak. And we just pray that God uses us just as tools, musical tools. We're musical missionaries. We've done it for a long time, as I said. And God has continued to use us, not because he needs us, but because he chooses to. And we're honored by that. So we're going to make music for the masses and let it fall where it may. Hope it changes people's hearts and souls.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to thank you, Michael, for taking the time to chat with us. I've really enjoyed getting to hear your heart behind it and can't wait to see how it changes and impacts those who get to listen to it.
I can't wait. We're just getting started.